National Exhibition Centre in Birmingham, the 1993 World Gymnastics Championships, and we will be bringing you over the next 3 hours live action from the National Arena. 3 hours of the women's all-around individual competition. Alongside me, Eurosport's technical expert from the event of gymnastics, Hayley Price. Hayley, you've been in this position 3 times before. What's going through the girls' minds now?
I think the worst part of any international competition, especially World Championships, is when you actually march into the arena. Their nerves are probably all over the place, butterflies in the stomach. As soon as you get going, you're well into the competition and concentration sets in, but the actual march on with a big crowd is pretty hair-raising.
Well, it really is a big crowd, 11,000 capacity crowd in the National Arena. The atmosphere is very tense. We've seen some incredible gymnastics from the men in yesterday's all-around competition. And of course, Vitaly Sherbo claiming gold there. And the big favourite, Hayley, for tonight must be Shannon Miller, the leader and of course the winner from the all-around competition, or qualification, I should say.
Yeah, Shannon Miller is looking very, very good indeed. I've watched her in training 2 or 3 times and she's working like clockwork. No mistakes in training even. Definitely #1 choice for most people. Here we have the Japanese, we have the Canadian.
Republic of Uzbekistan. Benedict Everard, Belgium.
And there we have Everard of Belgium. So the introduction of the finalists. 24 have advanced through to the final from 103 at the beginning of the qualification.
People Republic of China. Those are your vaulters. Moving on to asymmetric bars.
And this is the introduction of the athletes for the first of the 4 rotations.
Lavinia Milosevic, Romania.
Milosevic, surely one of the favourites, second in the qualification, bronze medalist in the Olympics.
Dominic Dawes, USA.
And the surprise possibly of this competition in the qualification, Dominique Dawes.
Yes, Dominic Dawes has worked exceptionally well. She was probably the 3rd choice to get into the finals for the American team. Kerry Strug was probably bigger favourite to make the all-rounds, and she has actually got there first. Shannon Miller again, the crowd behind her.
And she certainly is the favourite for this evening's competition. As we move on to the beam, there is Tatiana Lysienko, and really one of the darlings of the Barcelona Olympic Games, Lysienko.
Lysienko didn't have a very good beam in the qualifying rounds, very shaky beam in fact, and let's hope she can get it together today. Not always the best piece to start on when the nerves are there, because the beam can often be the make and break of a competition.
Kristina Molnar of Hungary, one of the 2 sisters competing here. Yulia Yurkina of Belarus, her first international experience, and in the last of the group for the beam, Li Li from China, just 18 years of age. Well, they are the 3 groups of 8, the 24 finalists. As we prepare for the beginning of the women's all-around competition, 3 to 3.5 hours. And for those of you unfamiliar with the rules, a quick resume, Hayley?
Right, the rules have actually changed, and this is the first all-around competition where we're using the new rules. Just to briefly explain, the girls are now marked out of 9.4 for their exercises, and the tariffs in the vault have gone up so that obviously the vaults that were once considered extremely difficult are now much lower tariff than they used to be, and they're having to do even greater difficulty to get the 10 tariffs. Girls are awarded bonus marks of up to 0.1, 0.2 for the more difficult elements on each piece, making their score up to 10 if it's a perfect routine.
Well, each of the groups given time to warm up on the apparatus before the start of the rotation. And for the layman out there of the gymnastics, quite simply, it's my feeling that they were scoring 1 too many 10s in Barcelona. So the judges of the Gymnastic Association have made the point score harder, but probably, knowing the world's best gymnast, they'll be scoring 10 in Atlanta again in '98.
It's all very new at the moment, so the girls aren't scoring 10s as easily, and that was the idea, to reduce the amount of 10s being scored, because there's so much excellent gymnastics and they've had to make it more difficult.
Well, as the girls prepare, Hayley, you've been in this position before. You've represented Great Britain in 3 World Championships, and of course you've been our own national champion. How vital is this warm-up and this preparation to the girls? And of course it's the beginning, right at the start of the competition.
The warm-up's very important, and also important to try and get the warm-up as correct as possible and not make big mistakes, because that obviously plays on your mind. If the warm-up goes badly, you're obviously under more pressure to compete perfectly. If the warm-up goes well, you're full of confidence and you're going to get a good result.
Well, this is the third day of competition here at the National Arena in Birmingham, just 7 miles outside of the city centre of Birmingham for all our viewers in Scandinavia, Spain and Portugal. And it really is a very interesting 2-day qualification. Of course, the first position of the qualification for the all-round was Shannon Miller of the United States of America. Milicevic was second for Romania. Dominic Dawes, the surprise from the American squad, came in third. Gojin for Romania was fourth. And Li was fifth for China. So some interesting results. And of course, the story, I should say, of the gymnastics is, Hayley, no Tatiana Gutsu.
No, Tatiana Gutsu, we believe, has suffered some kind of minor breakdown. She's competed in an awful lot of competitions, and the pressure after Barcelona must have been quite tough on her. We feel she's revising new routines and she's preparing herself for a better result in her next major international.
So no Olympic champion Tatiana Gutsu, and also no world champion of 91 in Indianapolis, Kim Semeskal.
No, Kim Semeskal also is not competing. Again, resting and hoping to get her act together for the next competition.
So, not all the world's top gymnasts here, but you can guarantee that this lady, Dominique Dawes of the USA, and her teammate Shannon Miller will give us a wonderful evening's skill and gymnastics. So the first competitor, Stella Ume, gets the first rotation and the competition underway for Canada, the 18-year-old from Toronto. The asymmetrics bars. Now, Stella had a good qualification. Came in joint 5th position. An important start to her 4 rotations.
So we have the upstart into handstand. That's the full twisting giant. And again, straight into Kachev. Very nicely performed, good leg form, nice straight legs. Shoot over to handstand. And swing through. Again, keeping brilliant leg form here. No breaking legs, no bent legs, and a double twisting dismount.
Well, that's a very pleasing start for Stella Ume, a very strong and really quite powerful gymnast. Not of the mould of some of the very small and petite Romanians and Russian. The coach certainly happy with that. And Hayley, a good promising and confidence building start there for Ume.
Yes, she's Canadians, I think Canadians, one of Canadians' best gymnasts. She's working very, very confidently on all pieces and has done throughout the competition, also in training. The full twisting giant here performed with really, really good body tension, straight into the Kachev, good height. Certainly showing a lot of amplitude during this routine. Swing into the dismount. And a very good landing.
So Stella Ume for Canada waits for the first point score, and as our expert Hayley Price has explained, expect much lower marks. The point scoring system has changed considerably since the Barcelona Olympics of '92, the last major competition. Not all of the top stars here, but certainly one of them, and that is one of them preparing there, Lavinia Milicevic.
Some of the real gymnastic followers here might not have recognised her. She's had her hair cut off, which makes her look much older and a lot more mature. She's also working much more maturely. A big favourite with the crowd. Her bars is a very good piece. She's probably a bigger expert on the floor, but she had a good competition in the qualifying rounds.
Well, second position there for Stella Ume. So that's a good start for the Canadian. Very early days. We're into the asymmetric bars in the first rotation, but one of the favourites is about to start her competition. Lavinia Milicevic, the bronze medalist in the all-around competition in Barcelona 1992. Just 14 years of age, but one of the few gymnasts that really could upset Shannon Miller.
Here preparing, concentrating for the start of her routine. There we have the half turn into upstart on the low bar, flying back to catch the high bar. That's the full twisting giant. And again, into release and recatch. upstart, losing her leg slightly on that upstart. Into a Kachev. 2 release and recatches, very good. Into the double pike dismount, slight hop forward, but steady routine.
Well, Milicevic, who finished just behind Shannon Miller of the USA in the World Championships all around 2 years ago. Miller was 6th there, Milicevic was 7th. But Milicevic, like Shannon Miller, has matured and come on, not only in confidence but in strength as well, and quite a good start.
Yes, quite a good start. Here we go into the upstart into handstand, preparing for the next release and recatch. That's a full twisting giant. Full twisting giant, and here straight into the Ginga somersault. Swinging through, slight loss of legs there, bent legs on the bottom bar, that's a 10th, she'll get deducted for that. Into upstart, swing through into handstand. Building up for the dismount, which is the double pike back somersault.
Well, that's the next competitor on your screens there. Not Milicevic. Well, we'll have to wait for the scores. There is quite a delay, and the competition rules state that the next performer will go. Rosalia Galivia for Uzbekistan in the vault.
There we have the handspring front somersault in the pike shape with a half turn. Most of the girls now adding half turns into their vaulting because they have to get the extra bonus marks.
Well, certainly not looking too happy. Reminiscent of the tears of Olga Korbut and many of the other female gymnasts there, but it's early days in this competition. Now here's one of the favourites, Tatiana Lysenko on the beam. We're moving round the 3 apparatus out of the 4 in this first rotation. Now Lysenko, of course, won a gold medal in the Olympics for the team.
Lysenko had a shaky start in the qualifying round, so she's looking for a good beam exercise. Again, a little bit older, showing the maturity and a little bit more artistry, which you don't see quite as often these days. That's backflip into 3 straight back somersaults, very well performed. A big favourite with the crowd, this girl. That's the punch front somersault again, perfect landing. Korbut flick, obviously named after Olga Korbut. The full spin, which has to be included in all beam exercises, and quite often the move that even top gymnasts don't like doing. Can quite often be the move they fall on. Nice jump sequence. Here preparing for the dismount. Which is the round off, double back somersault, slight hop back on landing, but she'll be happy with that.
Well, the 18-year-old, now a little more matured, Tatiana Lysenko gets off to a good start, and that certainly is a strong dismount. 9.712, that's the best score we've seen so far this evening as Lysenko goes into first position. Milicevic scores 9.512 down into third position. So Lysenko, who's only in 9th position in the qualification, possibly saving a little bit extra for the final. And one of the girls that was really thoroughly entertaining indeed in that qualification. The surprise from the United States of America, Dominique Dawes.
That's a very high Kachev. She really swings well on bars, makes it look incredibly easy. That's a 1.5 twisting giant, quite unusual to see. Good form in the legs with that straddled up start. Full twisting giant. Into the full twisting double back dismount, and she'll be pleased with that.
So the pressure already starts to build. Lysenko's had a good start on the beam, and Dominique Dawes, the 16-year-old American, has also started with a good routine on the asymmetric bars. And of course, all eyes will be on the teammate of Dawes, Shannon Miller, still to perform in this first rotation.
Here we have the swing to handstand, building up for the 1.5 twisting giant. Through shoot half turn. Earlier on, actually, in training, we had a Russian girl actually break a hand doing that movement, so it's not as easy as it looks. Full twisting double back, slight hop to the side, but a good solid performance.
Early days in the competition, 9.7. Lysenko with an excellent start on the beam. Very strong character. Well, we'll await the scores of Dominique Dawes. We'll watch the second vault of Galieva.
That's much better vault. She's performed the same vault again, which is the handspring front in the pike shape with a half turn. Actually marked out of 9.9, so it's a good tariff vault and much better performed than the first attempt. Good aggression run up. And a much better landing. This is actually the girl who should have made the finals in Barcelona, but due to a mysterious illness, which we're not quite sure about, Gutsu took her place and became the Olympic champion.
Galieva goes into third position, and Dominique Dawes steals it away from Lysenko, 9.762. America are now in first position. Anya Portumbo of Cuba, and this is an interesting competitor and qualifier, Hayley.
Yes, Cuba really progressed in gymnastics, and this girl is showing a lot of good work. There we have the full twisting giant. The first of the Jaeger somersaults we've seen today. Kachev. That's 2 release and recatches. Good content. Swinging through into handstand. And finishing with a full twisting double back somersault.
Well, another creditable performance for the Cuban Portumdo. And Portumdo came in 20th position in the qualification, so it wasn't a scrape. She really did qualify quite convincingly with the Canadian, the Belarusian, the Russian and the Guatemalan behind her. So a possible new name getting her first opportunity and experience of world-class competition, and that's not a bad score at all. 9.612, and Portumdo goes into third position for Cuba. So early days, but it is full of surprises already.
This could be quite a breakthrough if she has a good competition for Cuba, because we haven't seen many girls up there in the top for some time.
Well, the standings so far, we're only halfway through the first rotation in this women's all-around competition. Dawes leads for the United States of America. Lysenko is second. The surprise, Portumdo, is in third position for Cuba. Galieva is fourth for Uzbekistan. And Milicevic, who many would have thought would have been leading, is down in fifth position for Romania. It is early days. We're trying not to get too carried away and excited in the commentary box here. And of course, all eyes are on that young lady just to the left of your screens there, wearing the white suit of the United States of America. The favourite, Shannon Miller, the best qualifier of the 24 finalists. We move into the group of Shannon Miller, and will the American cope with the pressure? We will have to wait and see as the girls take another warm-up in preparation for the second of the 3 groups of 8. And Hayley, surprising early start, or we're just maybe judging it a little too soon?
It really is difficult to judge. You've got obviously 4 different pieces, and some have stronger pieces than others. So when you've got the first round, it's very difficult to say what's going to happen. I think so far they've been good, consistent first rounds by everybody. No major mistakes. So it's going to be a very close competition.
It really will be very close. And well,
here we have Miller preparing for the warm-up.
just warming up, but the camera quite rightly focusing on Shannon Miller. We're getting a bit of a wrong title there, the wrong graphics, but it is Shannon Miller, the lady in the white suit with the blonde hair, and Miller was the silver medalist in the Barcelona all-around competition. Silver medal behind Tatiana Gutsu, who is not competing here due to pressure and illness. So by rights, that makes Miller the favourite. Well, we go back 2-3 years ago, the 1991 World Championships. Miller was down in 6th position there, and Milicevic behind her in 7th. Milicevic is down in 5th position so far in the first rotation, so the competition has been thrown wide open. Another one to watch out for, Gina Gojian of Romania, 2nd in the European Championships to Tatiana Gutsu, so she could be a threat, but the leader is Dominique Dawes, a 16-year-old from the United States of America, and that may shake the nerves of Shannon Miller, who will be out in the next. Well, there's a good shot of the scoring. I hope it's a little more accurate than that. But the scoring, how many judges are we, and what exactly are they looking for, Hayley?
Okay, we have 6 judges around the floor area, and we take the average of the 4. There you can see, actually, quite interesting. If anybody does shorthand, the judges actually work to a similar system. They have a system whereby each move has a special symbol, and obviously it takes them far less time to draw these symbols and to write down every move the gymnast is doing.
So we're about to start with the second group. 24 finalists, 2 days of qualification. Started off with 103, we're down to 24. The individual finals coming over the weekend. Chusovitina of Uzbekistan, her first vault of the first rotation. 17 years of age.
She actually scored a very good mark in the qualifying rounds with a 9.6, so she'll be looking to repeat that score, or even better it, we hope. That's the handspring front half in the pike position again, which we saw earlier on. Slightly better performed, better legs, and good landing distance. A 9.9 tariff. And here we see it again in slow motion, perhaps lacking in height slightly, but very, very neat, and a good solid landing.
Well, Chusovitina, one of the Eastern European gymnasts given the opportunity to compete, so often kept out of the Russian team, so difficult, and the competition for the places in the Russian squad very intense indeed. A new ruling here, only 2 competitors per country, but now representing Uzbekistan is guaranteed a place, and her first taste at world-class competition, 9.625, and that's respectable. If you can do that on the second, certainly be good enough to break into the top 3.
Something else which is different as well in an all-around competition, instead of taking the best mark of the 2 vaults, they're actually averaging the 2 marks. So they have to perform 2 good vaults to come up with a good score. They can't fall down on one and have 1 good attempt. They have to be 2 consistent vaults.
Second vault for Chusovitina.
Not such a good landing, actually better with the height and the flight, but the landing poor, slight deviation and slight loss of balance. It could be 1 or 2 tenths, possibly 3 tenths actually, for that poor landing.
Take a look again in slow motion, really looking for the flight off the horse there. And just quite clearly, as we've been pointed out, off balance, and a few tenths of point will be taken away there.
Good height, good length, but as you can see from that very good camera angle that she's not in line. She's actually deviated to the side of the horse, and that can be anything up to a 0.3 deduction.
Chusovitina goes into 5th position, 9.581, and we are seeing very high scores early on in the competition here. But Dawes still leads for the United States of America as one of the favourites from Romania. Gina Gojian, 2nd in the European Championships last year in Nantes, And so that was behind Tatiana Gutsu. So can she find that form again in the Worlds?
And it's a Yurchenko vault with a full turn. Very well performed. This vault actually is not the tariff it used to be. It has actually been downgraded because so many gymnasts are doing it. That was performed very well, so she should get a good score. Now marked out of 9.8 instead of 10. There we see very, very high flight, good distance, and no move on landing. It'll be interesting to see the score, as it's only marked out of 9.8. That was a very well performed Yurchenko vault.
9.7. Well, if she can just possibly pick up a few more tenths to get that divide, well, it's a good start.
It's going to be difficult to pick up more tenths.
So second vault for Gojin. With America leading, this could quite easily put Romania into the top three. And again, more pressure on the favourite Shannon Miller still to perform.
Here we have the cartwheel onto the springboard. Oh, that was near perfect, near perfect.
No nerves or sign of any pressure from this young Romanian. Just 15 years of age, 6th in the all-around competition in Barcelona. Suffered a little from nerves there, but again, a very confident second vault indeed.
Oh, slight loss of form when we see it in slow motion. As you can see, it's quite difficult for the judges to spot that. I didn't see that when it was actually performed initially, but very, very slight loss of legs, maybe 1/10, but I think that's going to be another 9.7. Very, very good height and good distance on landing.
Let's await the score. Gojin goes into second position, 9.718. Dominique Dawes holds on to it, 9.737 for that second vault. And that's a very good start indeed for this young Romanian. And she's proving that that second position to the great Tatiana Gutsu in the Europeans about a year ago was no one-off. We move around once again.
Here we're moving on to asymmetric bars.
Fabrichanova, Oksana Fabrichanova of Russia. And again, another youngster that we haven't seen in international competition before, but been given an opportunity to compete. Just 14 years of age, Hayley.
She's one of the youngest competitors. You have to be 15 within the year of the competition. She was 14 in March, so she just makes this competition. She's just won the Moscow World Stars, which is a very big competition held in Moscow where we have all the tops there. So she's doing extremely well and making a big impact on the sport.
Well, she was last but one in the qualification, 23rd, but, well, you have to say, she really does look tiny and so wee in comparison to some of the others. She won't let that affect her. A little bit of whistling from the crowd, obviously not agreeing with one of the point scores awarded. So not only a test for this young Russian, her first chance to possibly charm the crowd in this evening's competition.
Here we have a very confident start. There we have the Ginga somersault. Good legs, good feet. Unusual to see a full twisting giant the other way around on the bars. You can only do that if you're very small. She's working extremely tidy here. Showing precision throughout, and we're building up to the dismount, which I think was a double twisting dismount.
And we'll take a look again at that dismount in slow motion. Very quick work. And what a great example of strength and agility from the young 14-year-old Fabrichanova.
She seems to be pulling the stops out because she looked very nervous in training, having a few problems here and there. I think probably nerves and experience, a lack of experience, you know, being so young at the big championships. Here we see the giants again done between the bars, which is very difficult if you're tall. Now the girls are working with the bars much wider than they used to, into the Kachev. Change of direction, which is a special requirement on the asymmetric bars. And it is a double twisting, double back somersault. I thought my eyes were deceiving me.
Well, a promising start for the youngster. And as we pointed out earlier, suffering from nerves in the qualification, but with every time she takes to the floor, she settles and certainly lapping up the experience of her first World Championship. And at 14 years of age, well, let's hope that she sticks with it and could quite possibly be one of the favourites for Atlanta. Just 4 years away. But again, a youngster given the opportunity to compete due to the dividing of the state of Russia. Third position, 9.712. Well, Fabrichanova smiling underneath that little face, I think, as we move right on to one of the big favourites, Shannon Miller. Well, this will be interesting because in the qualifications, not half as many good scores had been seen by the silver medalist from the 92 Summer Olympics of Barcelona. So the big favourite, the leader after the qualification, now with her teammate leading in the final, Shannon Miller for the USA, her first performance in rotation 1.
Shannon almost trains as though she's competing, so hopefully we won't see any mistakes here. She's very cool, calm and collected. That's the giant with a hop. Very difficult element. Giant full twist. Into the Kachev. Showing an awful lot of difficulty here. And finishing with a double straight back somersault. Just a slight hop on landing, but nothing to worry about.
Well, all the elegance and strength that's become the familiar calling card of Shannon Miller for the United States of America. She's just 16 years of age, trains in Edmond, Oklahoma. Hayley, is that the start that she was looking for?
That was a consistent start with an awful lot of difficulty. She'll be pleased with that. If you notice here, she does a giant with a hop, which is actually an E-rated element in the code of points, one of the most difficult that you can do on the asymmetric bars. She has 2 release and recatches. She does look slightly nervous, and her legs are showing slight lack of form, but nothing too difficult, nothing too bad.
Well, she picked up a bronze medal in Barcelona in the individual competition for the asymmetric bars, and none of the competitors here today were to better the score. So if she was ever to need a good start to a competition with all of the other competition really pulling out personal bests in this final, we will await the score of Shannon Miller very carefully and closely indeed. Wonderful grace and the finish there. 9.825. Well, Hayley, she's done it. First position, and the scores seem to be getting higher and higher.
Well, we can certainly say she's pleased. That's the first smile I've seen all week. Having been there for 3 days, she doesn't smile an awful lot, and when you see her smile, you know she's pleased with that performance.
So Shannon Miller rises to the bait, and the pressure put upon the earlier competitors goes into first position. Well, it's a very promising start also for the American team, with Dominique Dawes in second position and Gojin now lying third for Romania. It's early days in this competition, another 3 rotations to go, but the standard and the quality of gymnastics certainly getting higher and higher. And possibly the form book of the qualification is not the one to go by. The girls really rising to the moment.
When it gets down to the finals, everybody seems to pull out all the stops, and mistakes that have been made in previous rounds tend to disappear.
Well, the girls once again move around, and that brings the end of rotation 1 to the end. Very good start, as once again there will be a presentation and a march to the next set of apparatus. Then a short warm-up as we move to some pre-recorded highlights. Li Li for China, and our first look at the Chinese team on the beam.
Here we have a lift into handstand with a very unusual exit. Drop back onto the beam. Here we have the gymnastics series, 2 leaps. Performed very well. Into an acrobatic series of a backflip and 2 straight back somersaults into the full spin. The Chinese are very elegant on beam and always look very artistic, making that jump look incredibly easy. They always show great amplitude, great form, and are very flexible, which makes them look very elegant. There we have the backflip across the width of the beam and circling underneath. Now that might look quite easy, but if you can imagine doing that on 10 centimetres wide, you'll appreciate it's not easy and it's a very difficult spin indeed. And the double back somersault to finish.
Well, no shortage of originality from Li Li. And that score will be a very interesting one to watch from the judges. Some really incredible moves here. The crowd certainly enjoying every part of this routine from the 18-year-old. Of course, it's not possible to show you every part of the routine. We'll await the score of Li Li. This was taped earlier during the competition. 9.837, the first surprise. First position for Li Li of China in the first rotation. Miller is in second. It's early days, a short commercial break, and we'll be back with more on Eurosport. Welcome back, and the results of the first rotation. Unfortunately, we had to show Li Li of China on tape delayed, but she has gone into first position. 9.837, just ahead of the favourite Shannon Miller for the United States of America, 9.825. The USA again in third position. Gojia is fourth. Fabrichanova for Russia is in fifth, and in joint fifth with Lysenko of the Ukraine. A good start for Portundo of Cuba in seventh position, and Strobovchawa is in eighth place. Well, Shannon Miller thought she'd done just enough to clinch the lead early on. 4 rotations, and China are in first position. But a specialist on the beam, Li Li, Shannon Miller surely will be confident with her specialist apparatus still to come.
Yes, Li Li, so it's one of her strongest pieces along with bars. So Shannon Miller has a floor exercise, which for her is extremely strong, and also her beam, which she very rarely falters on. So it's going to be a close competition.
So the girls once again given a short warm-up period as we move into the second rotation. This is live action from the National Exhibition Centre in the heart of the United Kingdom, Birmingham, in the middle of the West Midlands, and the Exhibition Centre just 7 miles out of the city centre, and playing host to the 1993 World Championships is the National Arena, and the women's all-around final following the men's, and then the weekend will give us all the individual apparatus. But the first medals to be decided, and Haley quite possibly the most coveted of titles to be collected, the all-around or overall title, as Rosalia Galieva for Uzbekistan starts the second rotation.
Galieva here to prove that she is a good gymnast, and although she didn't compete in the finals in Barcelona, will do well. There's the Kachev somersault. Slight loss of form in the legs there. She straddles over the bottom bar. Into the Jaeger somersault in the pike position. That's giant. Into the double straight. Very good landing. There we see quite a lot of bent knees and very simple elements, and that's very debatable with the judges whether they actually deduct, or they call it a technical aid. Quite often judges can see it as a technical aid, and other judges will deduct 0.1. Something that I think needs really to be talked about and a firm decision made. Again, into the very high catch-off. Shoot over to the low bar. Here we see the slight loss of form, but the bars are so wide for the girls that it is quite often difficult not to bend the knees. into the double straight dismount, very difficult dismount with a perfect landing.
Chusovitina should be the next up, but Galieva for Uzbekistan awaits the score. She should go into first position because she's the first competitor of the second rotation. Well, we'll wait patiently. Often our camera teams in Birmingham will move on to the next competitor so we don't miss any of the action.
She looks a little bit disappointed with that routine, but 9.775, I mean, it can't be bad, but she doesn't seem too happy, but maybe she's just concentrating for the next piece.
Certainly one of those athletes that doesn't seem to show any emotion. Well, this lady shows lots of personality and lots of emotion when it's needed. Dominique Dawes, second position off the first rotation and takes the beam in the second.
Starting there with not a difficult mount, but a very elegant mount. Side split. That's the straddle pike jump, very difficult across 10 inches. 10 centimeters rather. If the beam was 10 inches, they'd be doing triple backs. There we have the gymnastic series, and that was a backflip into 3 consecutive straight back somersaults. Getting bonus marks for that series of acrobatic skills. She's actually looking, although she's not making mistakes, she's looking very nervous facially. There we have the tucked front somersault. Very difficult jump. That was a side split jump with a quarter turn. Showing some quite original work on the beam here. And making it look exceptionally easy. Finishing with an acrobatic series of 2 backflips and a full twisting double back somersault.
Well, Dominique Dawes continues to find the consistency, which really is the name of the game in this all-around competition. Good hug there from the coach.
Yes, the coach has been with her all week. It's nice to see they've got their own coaches with them, and they're not relying on one coach for the whole team, who they're not always familiar with. There we saw the 2 straddle jumps across the beam again. Slight loss of legs here, but I think we'll forgive that for a series like this. 3 straight back somersaults with a perfect ending. Again here losing the legs, but we see the full in, back out. Slight hop back, but she's going to be pleased with that performance.
Well, Li Li of China scored 9.875 to claim the lead in the first rotation. And Dominique Dawes was in third position. But this, her second routine, again, not looking to be as good as Li Li's 9.875, but certainly another good consistent score for the American.
Here just checking that the bars are perfectly chalked up. That's one thing that gymnasts really like to check on. Everybody likes the bars a certain way. Some wear hand grips and some don't.
Oksana Chusovitina for Uzbekistan. Just preparing. Chusovitina, well, she's in the top 10. And there's a score of Dawes, 9.775. Compute that with her score from the first rotation. And once again, Diana Dawes goes into first position, but she'll wait to see Shannon Miller and Li Li, the 2 gymnasts ahead of her from the first round. As we should return now to the asymmetric bars and Chusovitina.
And she's ready to go. Quite an unusual dismount, usually done in the straddle position, there done in the tuck position. Oops, That's the first big mistake of the championships. I think she was going for a stutz there, which is usually a move that we see on the men's high bar. Perfectly done in warm-up, and obviously very disappointed. She'll obviously lose the value of the move and also fall off the apparatus.
Well, yesterday we saw a mistake like this from Igor Korobczynski in the vault, and that threw away all of his chances to break into the medals. It is about a combined score, all of the points added together, and that could quite possibly take Chusovitina out of the competition. Hayley, is it possible to get a good enough score to stay in the top 5?
No, there's no way she's going to make the top 5 now, unless everybody's going to make mistakes like that, and I think it's highly unlikely in the championships of this caliber.
Chusovitina makes a big mistake on the asymmetric bars, and that could possibly mean the end of her challenge. Uzbekistan, 17-year-old, she knows there, you can see the look on her face. It's all about a combination of points. Consistency is what we're looking for to claim a medal, and let's look again in slow motion at this mistake.
Oops. There you can see she completely misses the movement, falls from the apparatus. Not only does she lose the fall, but that element was probably very important in the routine, and it means that she loses her bonus points. There with the full twisting giant into the double somersault with the full twist.
So Chusovitina, well, she's putting on a brave face. She'll look ahead now to the individual final, shakes the head there. She knows she's thrown it all away, holding back the tears, and that is a great shame. But they know the rules before they start the competition. And it really is an interesting note that you really cannot afford, as Hayley Price has pointed out to us, a poor score in any one of the 4 apparatus, as Gina Gojian for Romania. Now Gojian is in 4th position, certainly featuring so far in this competition, and again looking a little nervous. A very important second apparatus for the Romanian.
She's looking extremely good so far, and if she continues the way she started, she could be up there with the medals.
Dominique Dawes leads after her routine on the beam in the second rotation for the United States of America, with Shannon Miller, Li Li of China, and Gojin the main threats as we move into the halfway point at the end of this rotation. And certainly taking a lot of careful preparation. Well, there's a disappointment, and Chusovitina has been holding back the tears, but now she sees that 8.912 drops her down into 7th position, and she'll be lucky to hold on to that placing by the end of this rotation. The competition over for the youngster from Uzbekistan.
The hardest thing for her now is to get herself together for the next 2 pieces of apparatus without being affected by that fall, because she really does have to concentrate.
Gina Gojian for Romania, also on the asymmetric bars, looking to break into the lead ahead of Dawes of the USA.
Here we have giant with a half into the catch-up back somersault, swinging through into handstand. That's full twisting giant, another catch-up, building up to the dismount, which is a well-performed double somersault in the straight position.
No nerves from Gojian, I should say there. And a lot of people questioned whether that second position in the European Championships just before Barcelona was the true form guide. Well, she came back with a 4th position in the Olympic Games. 4th position also in the qualifying round for Gojian, so another interesting score. Hayley, is that enough to take the lead away from Dawes?
I don't think she's going to take the lead away from Dawes. A good bar exercise, but lacking a little bit of amplitude here and there. But we'll see. Difficult to say at the moment. Here we have a very high catch-off. I think perhaps the routine didn't flow quite as well as some of the ones we've seen already.
Ludmila Stovchetaya. Reserve for the Russian team in Barcelona. So again, another gymnast that gets an opportunity to compete, representing the Ukraine.
This girl looking very elegant there when she tumbles, quite tall. That's a whip into a full twisting double back somersault in the pike position. Again, showing a little bit more artistry and grace. She's a little bit older, a little bit taller as well, which quite often works well on the floor. Very nice form and shape indeed while she works. And here building up to the tumble. She is ran off back with a 2.5 twists and a counter somersault, which is a punch front out of the 2.5 twists. Could possibly lose 1/10 there for what we call concentration. Pause. Little bit of time wasting.
Stovchetaya, possibly a few little reminiscent moves of the great Svetlana Buginskaya, and looking to find a good balance between the tumbling and the artistry required in the floor.
There we have the 2.5 twists into the fly spring.
9.775 goes into second position, so that's a good score, but still early days in the second rotation, and the big guns from the first round and the favourites Miller still to come. But second position, well, she'll be very happy with that. We'll await the score now of Gojin. Now she goes second, so pushes Stovchetaya down into third. 9.812 for Gojin of Romania. Dawes still leads for the USA. Romania now second, with the Ukraine moving up into third position.
Here we have Frabnisheva again. A nice beam worker. Just waiting for the judges to signal for her to start. Once the green light comes on, she has 30 seconds to start the routine. If she doesn't start, then there will be a deduction. There's obviously some discrepancy here with the mark before. The judges are perhaps having a meeting, and that's delaying her start to the beam. Oh, we're ready to go. Starting with a very secure front somersault in the tuck position. And into the first acrobatic series, which is the backflip and 2 straight back somersaults. She's working extremely confidently here. There we have a combination of acrobatic and gymnastic skills, a jump into the front somersault. Here, something quite original, the backward roll. You don't see that very often. Full spin. Series of leaps showing her acrobatic skills. And finishing with a full twisting double back in the tuck position. Very confident beam there, one step on landing, but she'll be happy with that.
Oksana Fabrichinova, just 14 years of age, representing Russia. And not a bad start for Fabrichinova. She's lying in the top 10. Let's take a look at the technical parts of this beam work in slow motion.
There we have the 3 straight back somersaults, slight loss of balance there. Deduction of perhaps 2/10. And I would say a 1/10 deduction on this landing here. We see her step to the side. But good acrobatic skills, and all the bonus marks were there.
There's certainly no shortage of support for Oksana. Plenty of cheers from the crowd there, and quite a difficult start to that routine with the music and the clapping from the audience to the floor exercise, which of course is going on at the same time.
Here we see the coach strapping up the ankle. I think in training during the week she was having problems on vault, not going particularly well. Landed short and has a slight strain on the left ankle, but she's certainly coping well.
Shannon Miller for the United States of America is preparing as we go back through the Fabrichinova score. Third position, 9.750. Dominique Dawes is in first position. Gojin second. Fabrichinova third. Shannon Miller, the favourite for this competition. The second rotation, leading after the first to the beam.
Here we have the half lever lift into handstand, into the stag split position, into a gymnastic series of 2 backflips and a straight back somersault to land on 2 feet. Already into the bonus marks. That's a change leg leap. And this movement first seen by Emelianchik, the Russian gymnast who won the World Championships in 1985. Very difficult. That was a backflip to turn into handstand. Preparing for another acrobatic series. Oh, that was a mistake by Miller. She won't be happy with that. She has missed a third back somersault there, but she's pulled herself together. The pressure is certainly getting. That's the first mistake I've seen her make all week on beam. She is like a robot. Looking a little unnerved, but coping well. And the full twisting double back somersault. Again, the nerve showing. 3 steps on dismount. A 0.3 deduction there for Miller. She won't be happy with that performance.
Well, like we've said, and the tears starting to appear, she looks up at the coach, and she's worked like a robot all week, and that's the first errors we've seen from Shannon Miller. She's been unbelievable till then, and the coach is trying to console Miller, who seems to be cracking under the pressure. The slow motion, Hayley, very impressive until the big mistake just towards the end of the routine.
Luckily, she has the acrobatic series, gymnastic series there rather, which she lands perfectly. This should have been a third straight back somersault. Should have been 1, 2 straights and a third, and she's out of line and she misses that, and that would have been an extra 0.2 bonus for 4 movements in a row.
Well, we take a look again at the dismount. It's good form in the air, but the landing, again, not the perfection that we've grown used to from Miller.
And very well saved. That was almost a complete fall. That could have very easily been a complete over-rotation and a 0.5 deduction.
So the Olympic silver medalist and clear favourite for this competition has started to show a few signs of weakness in the second rotation. It will be very interesting to see this score as Dominique Dawes, her teammate, is currently in first position, and it will be a very interesting point score. Will she have done enough to take the lead in the second rotation?
Here we see Shannon Miller looking very, very disappointed with that performance, but they're concentrating already on the next piece, which will be the floor exercise.
You can almost see the mental rehearsal going through the mind there of Shannon Miller.
She is actually very self-disciplined, but also analyses her performance a great deal.
Well, there it is. She drops down into fourth position, 9.625. Well, we saw it yesterday evening in the men's. The great Vitaly Sherbo had to fight his way all the way through the first three rotations. There's only four in the women's, and already the favourite, Shannon Miller, finds herself 4 places lower than she was at the end of the first. So Li Li, leader of the first rotation, goes into the second, knowing the mistakes have come from Miller on one of her favourite disciplines, the floor exercise.
Here we go into the first tumble with Li Li. And she's out of the floor. That's a 0.1 deduction. And a very, very unusual start. Didn't put the double somersault in the first tumble. She's also showing signs of nerves on this floor exercise. There we have the straddle jump with a half turn. She's definitely looking rather nervous here. Tumbles haven't gone brilliantly well. She's dancing well. They're using the music well. Into the leap combination. And coming up to the third tumble. Which is the double back somersault.
Li Li of China came into this second rotation leading after the first. She's seen the mistakes by Shannon Miller, who is now in fourth position. Dominique Dawes, also of the United States of America, is in first position. But as our expert here, Hayley Price, has pointed out, Li Li looking a little nervous, possibly missing part of the first passage here.
That's the front into the full twisting front somersault. The full twisting, the forwards movements have actually been upgraded, so you know, they're difficult movements, but they weren't performed particularly well.
Well, from first to eighth position for Li Li, 9.250. So the leaderboard changes once again, and the form from the first certainly not ringing true in the second. Lysienko of the Ukraine. Well, Lysienko has started well, but the competition really has been thrown wide open.
All eyes will be on Lysienko here. She's a favourite on the floor exercise and a favourite by most of the crowd here. Showing great artistry here. Very, very elegant gymnast. That's the 2.5 somersault with the punch front slightly Dodgy landing, step to the side, slight deduction. Very difficult tumbling pass. There we have a front tumbling combination, handspring, fly spring with the full twisting front, and a very dramatic finish.
Tatiana Lysyenko, fourth in the European Championships, and really could have possibly seen her opportunity to break into the top three. We're still waiting to see Milicevic, who is, or should be coming up on the beam. Lysyenko, a lot more mature, often suffered from nerves in previous World Championship competitions. A good passage here.
That was the double Arabian somersault. And the 2.5 twist into the punch front somersault.
Second rotation, the gymnasts will now march to the next apparatus.
Well, a marker indication from one of the judges on the side of the floor there, indicating that Lysyenko actually stepped out of the floor. Again, more point deductions, but we've seen a lot of point deductions so far in this second rotation. The pressure starting to show on so many of these competitors. All looking so calm and cool in the first. Well, let's move on to one of the other competitors, Lavina Milicevic of Romania. On the beam, she will have seen the upset from Shannon Miller and has the ability to break into first position.
Quite an unusual mount there by Milicevic. Oh, whoops, she's gone. She'll be disappointed. That was quite a difficult acrobatic series. The backflip into the back somersault, and she couldn't hold that landing. 0.5 deducted, that's going to set her back. The pressure's really showing here. Another loss of balance on the side somersault there. She really isn't flowing too well at all. Building up for the dismount. The double back somersault.
So the upsets continue here in the second rotation. One of the favourites, and of course, the lady who was just behind Shannon Miller in the qualification, Lavina Milicevic of Romania, has fallen in her second rotation on the beam. Will quite clearly be marked down. It'll be a low score. So Dominique Dawes, our current leader, starting to look stronger and stronger, with Gojian of Romania in second position. And there is the disaster for Milicevic.
She tried to hold it, but she was completely out of line and couldn't quite manage it. Into the double back somersault, she got herself together here for a perfect landing, but she'll certainly be disappointed with that beam exercise.
14th position, 9.337, leaves herself an awful lot to do in the final two rotations. Milicevic struggling. Dominique Dawes was the leader of the second rotation. Lysyenko goes third. Well, Lysyenko with 9.750 for the floor exercise we saw prior to Milicevic on the beam is in third. United States of America leads with Dominique Dawes. Gojian is second for Romania. Fabricianova is third in joint third position, I should say, with Lysenko, the surprise of the second rotation. Shannon Miller is in fifth position. A short commercial break, and we'll be back with the second half of the Women's All-Around World Championship. Welcome back to the World Championships of Gymnastics in the Birmingham National Exhibition Centre. Well, it's been a very exciting second rotation, and the leaderboard has got the United States of America in first position. We're looking at the vault. This is the tape delay of the second rotation. We'll keep you informed as much as we can. Stovjataya and the first vault, 9.462. With Dawes, Gaugier and Lysenko in third position. Lysenko in joint third with Fabrichinova.
There we see the Yurchenko vault in the straight position with a full twist.
So, Stovjataya, I should say, gets the third rotation underway.
Slight loss of legs there, a little bend in the knees during flight, a step on landing. We've seen the vault perform better by a couple of gymnasts already. It'll be interesting to see the score. Marked out of 9.8.
First position, 9.468. Well, she's the first competitor in the third rotation, so that's to be expected. But the competition really being thrown wide open now with Milicevic and Shannon Miller both having a disaster on the beam. They really do need to pull out some tremendous scores in these final two rounds to bring themselves back into contention. Dominique Dawes leads for the United States of America. And here is the lady in second position for Romania, Gina Gaugian. Second in the European Championships, her best result, and looking in a very strong position to add a World Championship medal to that European picked up last summer in Nantes in France.
Another delay here. And you can see she's quite nervous. That's the front somersault mount. And a series of leaps required. Split leap into a straddle jump. Another front somersault. She's seen her friends, she's seen her rivals. She's seen them fall, and so she knows she just has to have one good routine to catch up. That was a backflip with a straight back somersault. A nice mixed combination of an acrobatic and a gymnastic skill there, a jump into a backflip. Every beam routine has to have a low element on the beam, and there we see some low movements showing her versatility. Getting ready for the big finale. She's backflip, backflip, and a double tuck back somersault. A very solid and very well performed beam exercise.
Tremendous concentration there from Gojin, with all the music and rhythmic clapping from the crowd to the floor exercise going on at the same time. So a good routine from Gojin. And as Hayley Price quite clearly pointed out, all she needs is a clean exercise there. As we look again in slow motion, she looks to have done enough to go into first position.
Quite often the case, if somebody falls on the apparatus before you and you've seen that fall, it gives you extra confidence and you know you're in there with the chance. Very well performed. Double back somersault, one step back, maybe 1/10 lost. But she should be happy with that performance.
And if you've ever seen a lady wanting her score to come as quickly as possible, it's Gina Gojin of Romania. The third rotation of 4. She's in second position. Dominique Dawes is still to go, the current leader. First position, 9.725. Gojin goes into the lead and very successfully puts the pressure on the American, who is still to come, Dominique Dawes. So the tactics working wonderfully there, not doing too much, possibly tuning down the technical difficulty a little, but a good sign, and watching her other rivals very closely indeed there. We move to the floor. Oksana Fabrichanova lying in joint third position with Tatiana Lysenko of the Ukraine. So again, very important round this for the young Russian. A good performance could possibly put her into the top 2.
Into the first tumble pass. That's the fulling back out in the pike position. Good landing. That's a double jump. More jumps are coming into play in gymnastics on the floor. More skills needed to add up bonus points, including jumps and spins. Very good and interesting tumble pass. That's 2 whip backs into the double tuck back somersault. 2 whips, meaning she gets bonus points for that pass. A little bit staccato with the dance, doesn't really move an awful lot, but that's probably due to her age and lack of experience. And finishing with a double back somersault with a full twist.
Oksana Fabrichanova, just 14 years of age from Moscow. And if she can maintain that third position, will certainly be one of the surprises of this women's all-around competition. Each mark from each of the rotation is added together to give us the best overall gymnast of the 4 individual apparatus. Certainly the most coveted title, and another good routine for the youngster from Russia.
She'll be happy with this. She's working well. Having problems with some of these tumbles in training, and she really has got herself together in this overall competition. A stutter there. She'll lose for that. Didn't quite flow. A lot of small mistakes in this routine, but certainly working better than she did in the qualifying rounds.
Well, 23rd position was the final score of 24 finalists for Fabrichanova. And she certainly improved on that somewhat from 23rd to 3rd position coming into this third rotation. So another very interesting point score for the 14-year-old. Winner of the Moscow All-Stars competition. And that was the first significant result for the youngster. And like we've said with so many of the performers here today, getting her first opportunity. And there's a shot of Lily. Seemed to be limping there, Hayley. Possible damage.
She came off the floor exercise limping and didn't perform particularly well, so it looks like she has an injury to her calf muscle. Again, treated with ice like all injuries are.
Well, that could spell disaster for the Chinese team. Lily, who started off with a wonderful routine on the beam to steal the lead away from Shannon Miller and possibly played a very important part in cracking the nerve of the American, and the ice bag moves on again. This time to another one of the Russian camp. Drazola Galieva there with the ice bag on the ankle. Second position, moves up a spot. Fabricianova, 9.525. Well, the pressure is heating up once again. Gaugian leads. Fabricianova is second. Dawes and Lysenko still to come. Shannon Miller, who's down in 5th position. Well, if she ever needed to pull out an apparatus or a performance of a lifetime, it's now for the American.
Just watch this tumbling pass. We have a whip, 2 backflips and a full twisting back somersault. And she makes it look extremely easy. Very lively music, interprets it well. She's very elfin-like, and she's working well to the music. Here we have 2 whips, 3 whips into a double twist. I think Floor perhaps one of her favourite pieces. Building up for the final tumble pass. Again, the pulling back out. Nice jump combination and spin at the end. Very well executed.
Well, a new routine for Shannon Miller, different from that of Barcelona, and she starts the long and arduous comeback from 5th position, hopefully to get into the medals and possibly snatch back that first placing in the 4th and final. Well, there's certainly a difference in the facial expression from Shannon Miller after that very disappointing routine on the beam. She draws on all of the experience and inner strength to work a very enjoyable but also very skillful floor routine.
Here we go into, I think, the middle tumbling pass, which is the whip, another whip, a third whip into the double twisting somersault. She certainly has to be small to fit in all those movements. Getting bonus marks for that pass as well. Finishing, again, great energy at the end of the routine, being able to finish with a full twisting double back somersault.
Well, again, the very painstaking wait for the scores from Shannon Miller. There's a good example of the shorthand used by these judges, explained earlier by our resident expert here at Eurosport. Well, Shannon Miller, 16 years of age, and she's done it. The crowd erupt and are screaming for Shannon Miller. 9.825, and she's back on top of the leaderboard. Shannon Miller, well, they say when the going gets tough, the tough get going, and she certainly has proved that. Miller has gone from 5th to 1st position. Gaugian is 2nd. Fabricianova is in 3rd position, but of course the lady leading the 2nd rotation has yet to compete in the 3rd, and that is the teammate of Shannon Miller, Dominique Dawes. So we will keep our eyes focused very closely indeed. Has Miller done enough, or will Dominique Dawes retain 1st position? Stella Ume, there of Canada, and closely watched by Mum in the... She was cheering her on in the qualifications throughout, start to finish. As we move into the second half of the third rotation. If you've just joined us, this is live action from the World Championships in the National Exhibition Centre of Birmingham. Looking a little concerned. But Hayley, very interesting floor routine for Stella Ume.
Yes, it's a very rhythmical routine, very unusual music, which you'll hear in just a moment, and she interprets it very well.
No shortage of support for the Canadian. In 8th position, Ume, the floor in the third rotation.
Here we go into the first tumble, the double straight back somersault. That is an E element for the girl gymnast. Very difficult move, and bonus marks rewarded for that. Nice jump sequence, powerful gymnast. Very few people could get away with this music, but she does use it well. There we have the full twisting front into a punch front somersault. Good combination. There with a double back somersault, double twisting somersault rather, and an unusual ending.
Well, the crowd certainly enjoying that one. And of course, applause from the family and Mum in the crowd there. But a very unique and interesting routine for Stella Ume of Canada. It'll be an interesting to see how the judges score that. Ume, like Shannon Miller, really does require a very high score if she's to be in contention for the medals going into the fourth rotation.
There we saw a well-landed double straight back somersault. Not too many of the girls performing that movement. Very, very difficult indeed. There we have the whip salto into the double twist.
Once again, a painstaking wait for Stella Ume as Tatiana Lysenko. Well, as we reach the second half, this third rotation, she was lying in third position. Miller and Gojin, first and second position.
There we have the first 10 tariff vault of the evening. That is a Yurchenko with a double twist. Very well performed, good flight, good legs, but just one step on landing.
So the degree of difficulty of the highest. And possibly Hayley Lysenko seizing the opportunity to try and steal the lead away from Miller.
Looking here to make up the mark, she knows that vault is one of her strongest pieces. What she needs to do is repeat that vault for a good average mark. There we see the two twists. Cartwheel onto the board. Very impressive vaulting.
Well, Lysenko, who took the bronze medal in the vault in the individual apparatus, will look to repeat that score and will surely go into first position ahead of Shannon Miller of the United States of America.
And that's even better. She'll be happy with that. Again, the Yurchenko with a double twist.
So Tatiana Lysenko representing the Ukraine. Picked up that bronze medal in Barcelona, of course, representing the unified team. Each of the Eastern European gymnasts representing their newly formed republics, and that really was a wonderful second vault, and certainly showing no signs of nerves where so many are faltering. Lysenko seems to be going from strength to strength throughout this competition.
Again, the cartwheel onto the board. Good height, good flight, and a better landing. Lysenko is believed to have arrived with a shoulder injury, but it certainly isn't showing today.
And there is the score, and as we anticipated, Tatiana Lysenko for the Ukraine goes into first position, 9.824, and Miller is now second. Gauchien is in third position. Stella Ume goes into 11th position with a score of 9.300, respectable for the Canadian. She finished in 17th position in the World Championships 2 years ago. First look at the other Canadian representative here in the final, Stacey Galloway.
That's the straight Yurchenko vault with a full twist. The same vault as we've just seen, but with only one twist, not the two. Marked out of 9.8. And performed tidily. Good flight, good distance, but a 1/10 deduction for her landing.
Rosalia Kalieva. And a very lucky escape there going onto the beam.
Again, the two straight back somersaults, giving her that extra bonus. Nice leap combination, split leap, pike jump. The girls are having to add more combinations with their leaps and jumps to gain extra marks. Good front somersault in a tuck shape. I think that's the first free walkover we've seen this evening. Very well performed. Again, a mixed combination of acrobatic and gymnastic skills. And finishing with a fulling back out in the pike position.
Galieva really has looked very focused and serious about this.
That's the acrobatic series again. We saw the backflip and two straight back somersaults. Lacking in rotation on the dismount, but managing to save it without a fall.
Stella Ume, 9.7, 13th position for her floor exercise. Well, she'll be looking to finish certainly above as we go to the second vault of Stacey Galloway, and as I was saying, Ume certainly hoping to finish higher than she did in the Indianapolis Championships of '91.
And again, the straight full twisting Yurchenko. Very similar vault to the first one, with a side step on landing And I think we'll be looking at a similar score. Slightly low on flight and legs slightly coming apart.
So the second of the Canadians, Stacey Galloway, goes into 16th position with her teammate Stella Ume in 13th. Galieva goes 5th, that's respectable, 9.575. Well, let's hope she goes 2 places better and gives us a smile at the end. But this is the one lady that we really do need to focus on, and this will be the deciding of the top 5 going into the last rotation. This rotation number 3, Dominique Dawes, current leader of the second with her floor exercise.
That's a full in back out. Just watch this girl, she can tumble. Full of energy. There we have the popper, which was done by a Romanian gymnast, and again, the straddle jump with a turn. Very lively music to suit her personality. Just watch this. Whip, whip. And a double twisted somersault straight into a punch front, immediately into a double back somersault. And the crowd are really enjoying this. Double spin. Again, we see the straddle jump. You can see all the gymnasts adding these extra jumps again here. Any way they can get bonus marks, they'll be doing it. Final tumble pass. Two and a half somersaults, very difficult and perfectly landed. She's going to be happy with this.
Well, smiles and applause from both Dominique Dawes and the crowd. And if there was ever a time to put out one of your best routines, it was now. And surely Dominique Dawes has gone into first position in the third rotation with 1/4 and final set of apparatus to come. Dominique Dawes, who's been in the shadow of Shannon Miller throughout the qualification, possibly a clever move by this young 16-year-old. And Dominique Dawes here, really sensational tumbling.
Here we go, into the full in back out. She has endless energy and that actually admits it herself. She can't stop. 2 whip overs into a double twisting back somersault, immediately into a third tumbling pass, finishing with a double tuck back somersault. Here we see in slow motion the end tumble with 2.5 twists, very difficult to land and perfectly executed.
Well, Dominique Dawes has certainly seen that the opportunity is there. The gold medal is out for the grabbing, thanks to, or not good news for the Americans, but the mistakes have come from Shannon Miller. And Dominique Dawes has given us a floor routine full of personality, artistry, and some of the most sensational tumbling skills we've seen so far at this competition here in Birmingham. Surely will go into first position at this point in the competition. Lysienko, Miller, Gosian, and there we have it, 9.80. Dominique Dawes for the United States of America has gone into first position. Lysenko is now second and Miller is third. My oh my, what a battle in the fourth and final rotation. The Standings after 3 of 4 rounds in this women's all-around World Championship competition. Dominique Dawes is 1, Lysenko is 2 for the Ukraine. Shannon Miller, with it all to do in the 4th and final round, is 3rd. Gaugian, looking to get in the medals, is 4th. And Fabricianova, looking for her first World Championship medal. A short commercial break here on Eurosport, and we will be back with the finale and the medals of this women's all-around championship. Welcome back to live action here on Eurosport and the 4th and final round of the women's all-around competition. Stella Ume, well, I think that's the warm-up. Yes, they're warming up in preparation. It's very exciting. We're right on the edge of our seats here as to get the 4th and final rotation underway. Oksana Fabricianova, she's lying in 5th position, so a good routine here and a few mistakes from the top 3 could give this youngster from Russia the possibility of a World Championship medal. It is so close between the top 5, anything could happen. So stay with us over the next 40 minutes to decide who will be the world all-around champion of 1993. First away in the vault, the first of 2, Fabricianova.
There we see the Yurchenko vault again. Full twisting Yurchenko in the straight position, a 9.8 tariff. Not a good landing. Needs to perfect that landing in the second vault to score a good average. Again, nice tidy legs with 2, maybe 3 steps even on landing. A definite 2/10 lost there on the landing. Good distance though for such a short girl. Covers a lot of ground there.
Well, Fabricianova certainly needs 2 perfect scores, 9.550. Well, it's respectable, but possibly not enough. Bar a disaster from the top 4 to break into the top 3 and a medal position. Let's see if this young 14-year-old can improve on the second.
She changed the vault. She actually added another twist in there. Performing the double twist in Yurchenko, marked out of a 10 tariff. She's the first girl to change her vault in the overall championships. Here we see good flight on 1, 2 twists, and it was a better landing. Slight deviation, but good tactics, changing her vault and performing it even better than the first.
Fabricianova possibly sensing that she needs to do a little more if she's to become a threat. This is the 4th and final rotation. 4 sets of apparatus rather than 6, which we saw in the men's competition yesterday evening. Vitaly Sherbo. Good plan there, Haley. She goes into first position, 9.643, and the point score, certainly. Maybe she should have done that second vault on the first.
Very good tactics there. I think she should have warmed up with the first one and then went for it on the second one.
Well, Shannon Miller. She is not only vaulting to put herself into first position here, but she possibly needs the best vault of her career to take gold. She's been favourite. The pressure has been upon her from start to finish. Miller vaulting in the last rotation for the World Championship of '93.
And she can certainly work under pressure. It's a perfect landing. Only a 9.8 vault. You can see Fabricianova there putting the extra twist in to put pressure on Miller. But that was very well executed with a solid landing. Here we see cartwheel onto the horse, onto the board, and a perfect landing. Possibly the best full twist in Yurchenko that we've seen this evening.
first vault, 9.775, going to plan for Shannon Miller. The second is vital to give us the aggregate score. No shortage of supporters in the crowd for the American.
She needs to produce the same type of vault again. And she's done it again. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Well, the smiles from Shannon Miller. At last, she shows the emotion that's been close to tears after the disaster in the beam. The coach is pleased. And will it be enough? We'll have to wait right until the end of the competition to see Shannon Miller has possibly pulled it off in the fourth and final rotation. The coach says that's the one we were looking for. And Hayley, 2 perfect vaults from Miller under a tremendous amount of pressure.
I think that just shows all the hard work and training she's done to work under that amount of pressure and produce vaults like that. Is incredibly difficult. There, the distance she lands away from the horse. Superb line, excellent technique.
First position, 9.787, but of course she was third going into this fourth and final rotation. She will wait very carefully indeed to see Lysyenko and Dawes in a better position than her after the third rotation. Stella Ume of Canada, she's in 13th position, looking to improve on her personal best from the World Championships of 2 years ago of a 17th position.
See the straight full twist in Yurchenko, but we've just seen Miller perform it almost perfectly, and that wasn't quite as well performed technically. Movement in landing. Here we see it in slow motion. Loses her legs there, slightly apart on takeoff, and small step backwards.
Vault number 2 for Ume, 9.637. No shortage of encouragement from Mom.
Again, just lacking a little bit on flight. Legs slightly apart. Again, when hitting the top of the horse with her hands. Very, very difficult to see this vault perform better than Miller, so I've been very critical here.
Stella Ume goes into 5th position, early days in the 4th rotation, 9.637. Shannon Miller puts the tracksuit on. Steve Nuno, the coach, giving her a few possibly relaxing nerves, but she's got to watch carefully now. Dominique Dawes is still to come as we move to the asymmetric bars to catch up with Tatiana Lysyenko. She was ahead of Miller coming into this 4th rotation. She was lying in 2nd position, just behind Dominique Dawes. She needs to score just above 9.7, and she will go into 1st position and deny Shannon Miller of the USA the gold medal, the World Championship of '93. No shortage of support for Tatiana Lysyenko of the Ukraine. Possibly the most important asymmetric bar routine of this young Ukrainian's life.
Flying back to catch the top bar. Into the Jaeger somersault. Slightly loses her legs there. Slight bend of the knees. Full twisting giant. And the blind change into a very interesting dismount. That's a back away. Front somersault rather, not a back away. A front somersault with a half turn.
Well, Lysenko has the advantage over Shannon Miller. So, as we said earlier, every point really does count here. Well, we're hearing screams from the crowd. I think that's to say that Milicevic will be the next to vault.
Here again. Flying back to catch the top bar. As a hop change into a very, very high Jaeger somersault. Full twisting giant. And there we see the double front somersault with the half turn.
This will decide first and second position. Miller leads for the United States of America. Lysenko looking to put the Ukraine into first position. Shannon Miller literally looking for anything to do rather than wait for the score. Lysenko waits patiently. The judges finalizing, putting their scores together. Has Miller done enough to stay in first position with doors still to come? Or has Lysenko denied gold to Shannon Miller, the favourite?